Today on the Stay at Home Chef, I'm showing you how to make sheet pan brookies. I've taken two of my signature recipes and turned it into a sheet pan wonder. You are going to want to bring this to every party and event forever, and people will always ask for the recipe. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then you want to line a sheet pan with parchment paper. I've found that it's best to have a little bit of overhang, and so if you just spray the pan with just a little bit of nonstick cooking spray, it'll help it stick. That way the grease stays on the pan and doesn't transfer to your brownies. Next, melt 1 cup of salted butter, and I always like to do this in a liquid measuring cup, and you can do this in the microwave in 30-second increments or on the stove. Pour that into a mixing bowl and add in 1 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Whisk this until the sugar has dissolved into the butter. It'll really only take about 30 seconds, and it's really convenient because our brownie layer can be made with just a whisk and a rubber spatula, whereas our cookie dough, you need either a hand mixer or a stand mixer. Next, you need to add in 4 large eggs and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Whisk that in with the sugar until combined. Then you'll need 3/4 cup of chocolate chips, and I have it in a liquid measuring glass because we're gonna melt this in the microwave too, and I do it in just 30-second increments. And it really doesn't matter if you use milk chocolate or semi-sweet for this. I have a sweet tooth and I like to eat the extra chocolate chips, so I always choose milk chocolate. We'll pour this in with our butter mixture. We'll whisk that in. You get the satisfaction of it turning all beautiful and chocolatey. Add in even more chocolate with 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder and mix that in until just combined. Then finish the brownie batter with 1 cup of all-purpose flour and 1 teaspoon of salt. Switch to a rubber spatula and stir this in until all of the white specks disappear, and this is well combined. Pour this into your prepared 18 by 13 inch sheet pan, and be sure to spread it all the way to the edges and the corners so you get an even layer. And that's it for our brownie layer. Now you could also make this in a 9 by 13 pan, but I wanted to make it in a sheet pan because this just seems like the kind of dessert that screams to be turned into a bar for parties and easy serving. For the cookie dough layer, you'll need 3/4 cup of softened butter, and we're gonna cream that together with 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Use a hand mixer or stand mixer to mix this together until it's smooth. This one needs 2 large eggs, and of course you don't want to get any shells in there like I just did, so pull them out. Then we'll also need 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Mix this in until it's smooth. Next, sprinkle on 1/2 teaspoon each of baking soda and salt. I like to give those just a quick mix so that they get dispersed throughout the dough, and then I add in my flour. You'll need about 2.25 cups of flour. This will be a drier dough. Super fans will notice that the proportions are just slightly different than my regular brownie and cookie dough recipe. As it turns out, it's not as straightforward as just taking a brownie recipe and a cookie dough recipe and combining it. We actually have to worry about volumes and proportions, make sure that the cookie dough doesn't puff up too much, make sure that the brownie layer can hold up in the structure. It's all about science and math. We need our chocolate chips. You'll need about 1.5 cups. Then grab a rubber spatula and fold that into your crumbly dough. And you're about to see why it needs to be a little bit drier and crumbly, because we are about to crumble the dough all over the top of the brownie layer. I found in my testing that it's super important to make sure that you have dough to cover all of the edges and the corners so that you get pieces that you can actually cut out and remove from the pan. It takes almost an annoying amount of time to crumble all these little pieces, but I promise it is gonna be worth it. It wouldn't work to spread the cookie dough on top, so you're really just looking for a fairly even coverage, and you should be able to still see brownie batter poking through. All that's left to do is bake this in a 350-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. As they're baking, you'll notice that they kind of bubble and breathe. As soon as it's done doing that, that's when you know your brookies are done. As hard as it is to wait, you'll want to place this on a wire rack to cool completely before cutting. Or let's be honest, you could also just grab a spoon and go to town while they're still warm. No judgment from me. Thanks for watching. You can find the full written recipe in the video description. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow, and check out the rest of my videos where you can find hundreds of restaurant quality recipes you can easily make at home. We'll see you later.